what's going on, guys? So this weekend we got a couple derbies coming up. I'm pretty excited to go fish them, and today I'm going to break down my tournament setups for this weekend and how I'm actually going to fish. First lake we're going to, it's a lake over in the Central Lakes, Minnesota area that has some deep drop-offs, hard bottom, coontail, cabbage, just your normal Minnesota, or your average Minnesota lake type stuff. I'll break down some of the baits that I'm gonna use, why I'm gonna use them, and some of the setups that I'm gonna have. So first things first, you gotta have a Ned rig or a jig worm. I think that that's super crucial in any kind of tournament setting. You know, you got a lot of people out pre-fishing, going out, they're pre-fishing, and they're beating down the lake. And that means that you gotta get a little bit finessey with it. You know, I'm gonna go and lean on my Ned rig a lot. You know, I'm gonna be fishing deep with this. I plan on fishing clean gravel with it. This is not a jig worm, this is a Ned rig. And yeah, it's great for getting bites on pressured fish, especially when you got a school of fish that is a little bit picky and you can see them on live scope. It's awesome to drop down a smaller bait. So I'll start with the bait. This is All Cast Tackle Perfect Ned, green pumpkin. You know, sometimes I'm running chartreuse. It just depends on the situation. If the water's a little bit more dingier, I'll run chartreuse. I'm running a Somatis Baits hollow tip worm on the back. This color is Champ. And the rod and reel that I'm running, this is a 7'1" Toxic Elite medium power fast action rod paired with the Daiwa Exist 3000. And you know, this spool is probably more the size of a 4000 spool. I've been talking about it for so long, how a bigger spool outweighs the benefits of a 2500. And man, I can tell you what, I really love this combo, and I'm gonna lean on this probably a lot come Saturday and Sunday. This will be in my boat for both Saturday and Sunday. All right, this is the Rapala DT10. This is perch color. You know, over in Minnesota, we got a lot of perch, a lot of bluegill, so you really can't go wrong with that color. I like running this or the Caribbean shad, something that's that's gonna attract these fish's attention. And really what I'm doing with this, man, is I'm waiting till like mid-afternoon when it gets a little bit windier. It pushes those fish off those weed lines, gets them outside of them, and this is a great way to fire up the school. I'm not super experienced with crankbaits. I'm more or less just getting into them, but I can tell you what, man, this will turn a negative school into a positive school in a couple casts. It'll get these fish to trail it. You know, I never really realized before live scope how many fish actually follow this crankbait and how many fish are interested in it. I'm throwing this in anywhere from 10 to 15 feet of water. I like when there's some, you know, submergent grass that's growing up 5-6 feet off bottom, and I can throw it into 15 feet and run it over the top of that grass and trigger some bites. So this is a great way, like I said, once that wind gets going mid-afternoon and it pushes those fish off those weed lines, this is a great way to get bites. Setup for the crankbait. This is a 7'4" medium crankbait rod. It's a Toxic Elite fiberglass S-Class made out of some of the best fiberglass on the market today. I'm cranking it with the Daiwa Tatula CT100 6.3 slow gear ratio and 10-pound test fluorocarbon. And the reason why I use 10-pound test is because 10 pound, the lighter you go, the deeper this bait's gonna dive, and the more truer it's gonna dive to what it's advertised as. So this is a DT dives to 10 feet. You can make this bait truly go 10 feet, sometimes 12 feet in some situations, depending on the cast. I love this setup. It's the perfect type of setup. It's a little bit whippier, moderate action rod. I have no fear when those fish grab this crankbait. I have no fear of them dumping the hooks because of the rubber band effect and the way that the whole rod, reel, and line works together. It's gonna get me that bite, and it's really gonna secure it, and I'm not gonna have to worry about it. Texas rig is super common in Minnesota. I know a lot of people flip crowd tubes, D-bombs, you name it. And on this one, I got just a Somatis stick on it. I got a 3/8 weight tied on with a peg stop on the top of it. 4-aught VMC ringed wide gap hook. This is a 5-inch Senko made by Somatis Baits. I think it's called the Somastic Champ color. You know, I could play around with this tomorrow. I could run pretty much a wide combination of trailers. I'm running this on a 7'0" Toxic Elite medium. It sits in that medium to medium heavy class. fast action rod, mag. It's called mag heavy, but I can tell you what, man, this fish is like a medium. It's super, super light. Wrist doesn't get tired, elbow doesn't get tired from flipping all day. Running it on a Daiwa Tatula Elite 7-1, 30-pound braid to a 20-pound test leader, Power Pro. I'm pretty excited to whip this thing out tomorrow, but yes, I have a lighter weight on it, 3/8, and I play around with those weights all day long, depending on the lake, depending on the bite, all that other good stuff. We got the same exact setup. This is another Texas rig, but what I did with this one is I actually took and I cut it down a little bit, so it's more about 3 inches instead of 4. This is the Craw Mattis by Mattis Baits. You guys have been hearing me talk about it a lot with, I got it pegged with a 1/2 ounce weight, peg at the top, and we are going same exact setup as my other Texas rig setup, except I got a little bit longer rod on this. This is my heavier flipping rod. Jesus. Sam wasn't an idiot. All right, so this is my heavier flipping rod. I use this for either flipping, Carolina rigging, or I even throw football jigs with it, but this is a great flipping rod for heavier stuff. This is a 7'6" Toxic Elite medium. It sits somewhere between that medium and medium heavy, but very good balance on it. I'm not worried about those fish getting in the grass, pulling them out. Just a great do-it-all rod for bottom contact baits. You know, wouldn't really use moving baits for this rod, but I would definitely use bottom contact stuff. You do not have to worry. One thing about this rod that I really liked about it was fishing it through reeds, man. I used to hate to fish reeds because it was such a risk getting those fish trapped into those reeds, and they wrap around them. You can never get them out. Well, with this rod, you ain't got to worry about it because the fish and the reeds are coming up with it. One of my favorite rods that I own and my favorite flipping rod. Again, you know, I'm running it with 30-pound braid, 20-pound leader. I'm using Power Pro, the original Power Pro. I'm not sponsored by them, but I love their abrasiveness in the diameter of the line. Cuts through grass a little bit better, like we were saying in our other video, and that holds true. So I love the braid to fluoro setup. You cannot go to any bass fishing derb in the Brainerd Lakes area without a jig. So of course I'm running the Stealth Fighter by Outcast Tackle. I got a little Mattis Baits trailer on it. Skirt's a little bit trimmed up, and I'm running Green Pumpkin. This is my favorite color. I pretty much will run it in 9 out of 10 scenarios. That one scenario you might need black and blue or black and purple, but this is definitely a staple in my boat when it comes to largemouth bass fishing. Same deal, you know, I'm running it on a Toxic Elite 7'2". Same thing, sits between a medium heavy Daiwa Tatula SV 7'3", and then here's the cool thing. I tried some new line this year and I took a chance on it. This is called 9X line. It's 30-pound braid. As you guys can see, I've had that on the spool all year, and it is a little bit slick and smooth for me for throwing a jig, but I wanted to kind of put it through the ringer and see if I could get this stuff to fade, because as advertised, it advertises the stuff does not fade, and it doesn't, man. Like I said, I've been using it for a minute now, and she just is clean looking, boys. And one thing that I can say about it is it's super smooth. I am gonna be running it on my spinning setups next year, which I'm pretty excited about. The price point on it is great. It's not super cheap, but it's not really expensive. Like I said, for flipping, it might not be abrasive enough for what I like to do, but dude, this stuff stays ultra black, and that's what I like about it, no fade. So pretty cool deal. 30-pound braid to a 20-pound test leader, same thing like everything else, 20-pound Seagar and Vizex, and yeah, that's the line that I'm running on this one. So moving baits, you got it. For me, I got a rule of thumb. I got 3 of them that I like to throw in any tournament at least, and sometimes those fish are really on moving baits and sometimes they're not. This one in particular is a spinner bait. To me, man, it's, for whatever reason they consider it the newbie bait, but for me it is definitely a go-to in most in a grinder situation where you need bites. So spinner bait, I'm running a Bassman spinner bait, willow blade, Colorado blade, it's gold, and I'm running a 3/8 ounce. And the reason for the 3/8 ounce is I like slow rolling them. I don't really burn them too often. I feel like I catch more pike when I burn them. If I was gonna be in a situation where I'm burning, I like throwing those, you know, 3/4 to ounce spinner baits, and this one is just not for that. This one, I don't know what the color's called. It looks like a crawfish color, and then I put just a little hula grub on the back of it. This one's a little bit cashed out. This is the Toxic Tournament grade rod, 7'3". It's the do-it-all rod. This is great for fishing spinner baits, top waters, flukes, you name it. It does just a little bit of everything. Little faster action tip on it, super sensitive. Pulling this with a Daiwa Tula SV73. I got a little customized handle on there. It's a Ganexus handle. Gives you a little bit wider turn radius on it. And 20-pound braid to a 20-pound, or 20-pound braid to a 17-pound test leader, running Power Pro SSV2. This stuff is awesome. So this is my spinnerbait setup. I like slow rolling it through grass. A second lake that I'm fishing on coming up on Sunday for my tournament. That lake might be a bank beating situation where you're just dirty fishing, man. You're getting into docks, laydowns, grass. There might be a tree that you're gonna pitch into, and I plan on getting shallow 12 feet or less and going to work. And spinnerbait, flipping stick, buzz bait, that's like the perfect scenario for covering a little bit of water. So that's kind of why this is tied on. Last but not least, we got the chicken. This is Outcast Tackle Chicken. This is a 5/8 ounce, I believe, gill pattern. This is great for any system that's got perch, bluegill in it, where the fish are feeding on them pretty heavily. I don't think that the fish see it very often, so it's just another look for them. Now, what I like to do with this is I like to cast it out, let it get down into the strike zone, and then I am just slowly winding it, and I'm constantly changing my cadence with it, kind of like a crankbait. Boom, I'll burn it, I'll drop it, I'll pop it maybe, and then burn it again, and then slow wind it. But I'm always mixing it up with this, just trying to trigger a strike. That's all I'm trying to do. Setup that I'm using is the Toxic Tournament grade rod. Great rod again. Just like I was saying, it's the do-it-all rod. You can do pretty much anything with this thing, and it's gonna come through for you. Running this on a Daiwa Tula 100 HSL, 7:1 gear ratio, 20-pound Power Pro original with 20-pound Seaguar and Vizex. So again, I'm not sponsored by either Seaguar or Power Pro, but these are the lines that I'm really trusting nowadays to run my stuff. And then again, that 9X stuff is pretty good. I'm probably gonna throw it on a lot of my spinning setups, but that's what I got buzzing for the next couple days for this tournament scenario. We're hoping that this tournament, or the next 2 days, are gonna be pretty fun. We got some wind ahead of us that's gonna make things a little bit difficult, but I think that's where that moving bait deal is really gonna pick up. I could pick up a chatterbait throughout the day. There could be some things that minorly get tweaked inside of this lineup, but for the most part, this is the lineup that I'm gonna be using. So last but not least, a couple things that I keep on board, you know, in a tournament situation are markers and some kind of scent, you know, whether it's bait fuel, spike it, you name it. I would just like to have just something a little bit extra just in case I gotta get sneaky on them, you know? So that's kind of my tournament setup. We're hoping to get after it. We're going to largemouth lakes, and then the second lake on Sunday, it's been known to have brown ones in it. I don't know where they are, or maybe I do. We'll see you guys soon.
Good morning. 3:50. We managed to suck yesterday, and then on the way home I was flat tired. This is already first. Ready to go. I got 2 batteries, so I got. All right. You got Ron?
Not much.
What? Really? Ron's partner, how'd it go? Fuck, he's shaking his head.
Yeah, I guess Ron's partner